and strong, lifting each other, supporting our cause. Together we'll build a brighter tomorrow for our children, our families, our Africa. This is the our children, Africa's future. We nurture their dreams, empower their minds, mold them into the leaders our continent needs.
African, I'm the African future. It's good morning, good afternoon, good evening show where A.R.A.L means Afrimums raising Zoe Octavia Obaze. It's always a, but as you know, I'm never alone. There's always the, if you have been a follower, you know what I always say. There's the steady and the study, so me.
Okay, I'm actually blushing, both physically. Okay, welcome. Okay, welcome to another exciting episode of the A.R.A.L show, and exciting episode of the A.R.A.L show, and it's always a wonderful time coming to your faces, bringing juice, the gist, all the conversations. And like Zoe already said, I am Chisomu Kachuko, and I'm the co-host of the A.R.A.L show. But today, it's not just Zoe and I. We have a special guest. When Zoe ambushed us both, because I didn't even know she was bringing our guest today, so we're both ambushed. I was laughing, and it was quite nostalgic because on the very first episode, remember last month we celebrated our 1-year anniversary on the A.R.A.L show. Yeah. And it's so exciting to note that the very first episode we had, we made reference to one friend who was a first-time mom at the time. I think her son was about a few months old. I think 2 or 3 months old then. And drum rolls. That friend is in the house today, and it's so much fun to have her in the house. So we're going to be spilling a lot of gist. So if you haven't invited your friends yet to join you to watch this is the right time to do it. You don't want to miss any conversation at all. So yes, I'll be handing over to Zoe to introduce this our wonderful, powerful guest in the house.
You forgot to add one more full. I mean, beautiful.
Oh, how could I forget that? Okay.
She is beautiful. Her name is Elizabeth Boateng. She's also known as Hadassah in her spiritual community, and she is the techie VA in her professional community. She is a believer in Jesus Christ and a wife to a Ghanaian inspirational God man, and a mother to a 1-year, 2 months, and 15 days old God man. She has an educational background in French and English education, and she's currently studying business administration, double honors, BA and AAS, with a specialization in business analytics. She's a certified virtual assistant and digital marketer. She specializes in social media marketing, influencer management and PR, customer relations and administration. She's drawn to children and teenagers, and she always seeks opportunities to mentor them. Additionally, she's a songwriter, a music minister,
check out.
where she truly finds herself. Her passion and her fulfillment comes from these. She says that when she's not doing any of these, you can find her watching investigative movies or taking on new courses. Mothers, Africa, please put your hands together
Drum roll!
for the beautiful, wonderful, saintly guest of ours. Good morning.
Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning.
It's so good good to have you with us, Elizabeth. You're welcome.
It's a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Pleasure.
So,
You know, as in, it's so exciting because this just feels like going back in time.
okay.
Because it's at this very place, Digit Radio, that I met Elizabeth in person for the first time. So, and it's good to have her on the show. And the funniest thing is, this conversation we're about to have today, there was a day she sent me a voice note. She said, Madam Chi, you people did not explain this motherhood. You people did not explain this motherhood thing very well to me at all. And I was laughing. And when you told me that this is what she's coming to talk about, I was
No
like,
wonder
okay.
you were really, really laughing.
I said, wow, the cock has come home to roost. And, it's very, very, it's a very important discussion. Because even for me, I felt the same way when I had my first child. In fact, I would say motherhood for mothers especially, beyond the fact that nobody prepares you for it, it kind of make you appreciate your own mother. So if you were thinking she was not doing enough, by the time you go through that process and you come out, there's a new kind of respect and honor you start to have for your mother.
Yes, and love.
Yeah. So first of all, let's just dig right in. Let's start with conception. I want to take us back in time because I've had a few friends that tell me that even before they put to bed, they had these fears of conception, like not being able to conceive. So that is the beginning of was there ever that kind of thought for you? Like, would I be able to? Because there are a lot of issues. You see people, and there is some of them, they don't have fertility issues or anything. But for some reason, you see them, they are unable to have children of their own. So for you, was there that fear that will I ever be able to have my own child, or would there be complication or issues? Was there this fear of conception, pregnancy, and motherhood as a whole before you even got into the process?
Okay, I would say no. Okay. So initially, I didn't have that fear of conception and all that.
Yeah.
But it was when I got married, like a year or before a year, I started having that fear. Yeah, because initially I and my husband, we decided that we wanted to wait at least a year to just be alone without any child,
Yeah.
So after that year, we're now like, let me say, before the full year,
Yes.
we start having fears that come. This thing I would say we want to do it. Do we even know if, because even with the way we've been going, so mistakenly, nothing has seen again that would.
I can imagine.
So that fear, came in at that point, and then that's when we say, let's start trying to have a child. Yeah,
Okay.
so that was where it started.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so if you're just joining in, this is the A.R.A.L show, and our conversation today is, how do I put it? It's very transparent. It's very honest. It's very, I want to say very heart to heart, but it does not follow the sentence construction, but you know what I mean. So I have someone currently in my life who put to bed a few days ago, and she has been telling me, I don't even think I'm prepared.
So she was like, calm down, it's going to be fine. Yeah. And what even made me to be scared was that when they said they were going to induce me. Because I had, 41 weeks. The hospital said at 41 weeks, they have to induce you. This one is not, they're not joking with your life, so they have to induce you, So when I heard that, Dios. Like, I thought it's just the water will break, the normal way.
Yes.
So how come? And I've been eating, is what this thing they call that is very sweet dates.
Yes.
So I've been eating dates. Anytime I come out from work, you buy plenty dates. I will eat. Because it's
You were having a date with dates.
they said when you eat dates, it helps you to dilate faster.
Okay.
And you're going to, what's it called now? The water will burst on its own and everything. So I was like, I've been eating dates. I've been doing, so how come doctors is saying they're going to induce me? And the date to the inducement, or how is it called now?
Yeah.
It's getting closer. So what do I do? So I was so overwhelmed and wild. But then there's one thing I did at that point.
Okay.
Then our pastor in church, Pastor Cyril, Reverend Cyril, he placed what's it called, this affirmation, Bible verses and all that, during that period. that he was playing during meditation.
Okay.
You know, so I went to my phone. I just reached out to someone. I said, please send me that. I need it now. So I started playing it. I started playing. I started everything I was doing that day. I was just playing it, you know, to just give myself.
Wow, awesome.
So that was what.
So you know, still on this pregnancy matter. You know, the point where you said something like, you know, hearing some terms about this labor thing, and you're wondering, so now this is going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Do you know that for me, on the day before, I didn't even know that was the day before, because I remember being in church and dancing and being excited, then getting home and cooking beans. I remember cooking beans on Sunday that day, and then I started feeling a bit funny, so I reached out to say to my doctor to say that, how is labor? She said, when it is labor,
You will know.
No, I wanted English, like what will happen that we know that is labor. She said, don't worry, you will know when it happens. So she was telling me to count. My sister, me that first of all, maths and me, we are not exactly in good terms. So I'm having to count. So I didn't even know what I was supposed to be counting. But I just knew that, okay. So I'm just saying that for me, my first experience, I was asking a lot of questions. So there you go. If you are still pregnant as a first time mom and you're asking many questions, there's nothing wrong with you. It doesn't make you, what should I say? It doesn't make you weird. It doesn't make you strange. It doesn't even make you ignorant. It just simply means that you have never been pregnant before.
Okay, so I think one thing I would add, which for me worked for me, just like Elizabeth said, my pregnancy, I don't know what is morning sickness. My 4 children, I don't know what is morning sickness. I don't know. In fact, the only symptom I normally have is swollen feet, and it's not usually painful. That's the only way. In fact, in the last one, that didn't even happen. So somehow, because I wasn't having my usual swollen feet during pregnancy, I was like saying, maybe it's again. This one is different. But here we are. So, but one thing I just want to tell a first-time mom listening to me out there: guard your ears, guard your hearts. For me, that worked a lot, because thankfully for me, in my church there was Awaiting Mothers Clinic. That's what it's called, for pregnant women, to prepare you for. So my pastor's wife then, God bless her so much, she told us to get this book, Supernatural Childbirth. And in my usual procrastinating step, I kept procrastinating. I will, every time she sees me, have you bought it? To show you how serious she was about it, she actually bought the book, sent someone to come and give me that book. And I must confess that book was a lifesaver. That book was, as in every aspect of your baby, I was praying. I used to tell people, I have never had to stay awake to because of a child. All this one you say baby's cranky, is not sleeping. I can't relate. My 4 children, I can't relate. And that was because that was one of the concerns I had during pregnancy. When people say when the baby comes, he's crying, you don't sleep. I'm like, me that like sleep, how will I cope? So for me, when I was praying, it was a burden, and I prayed it with all my heart. When I got to that point, I said, there's that the way it was put in that book. I think it was put in like, you will sleep. That is when you're praying over your baby. You will sleep, and you will allow us sleep. So I was particular about that. And to the glory of God, God answered that prayer. And another thing was that in my antenatal class, there was this woman. It was as if she was positioned by the devil. As in, we're just 2 that were first-time moms in that class. This particular woman will be like, you will see Pepe. You know all the negative thing about pregnancy. Pregnancy is not easy. I'm not to dispute that is her experience, but you don't automatically make your experience someone's experience. And the fact that we're first-time moms, you should be more of encouraging. But this woman was all out. She would say, you will see Shege. This one. As she's saying it, I'm sending it back to that. I said my case will be different. I was sending it back to her. I said my case will be different. It will be very different. And me, because you know the way I talk now, even my nurses then, I'll come. I was a troublesome, not troublesome per se, but I used to tease them a lot and everything. They'll tell me, don't worry, we are waiting for you during labor. Your mouth that is running like this, you will not see mouth. I told them it's a lie. You won't even know when I'll put to bed. And you know, for me, I think that is one thing every first time mom. Guard your heart. It doesn't matter what any other person's experience is. Create your own experience. Declare it. Say what you want to see. Declare that this is what I want to see. And to God be the glory. I'm not saying that my labor was entirely painless. But then I keep saying that labor pain is one of the most painful thing I've ever experienced. This is the 4th time now, and I can still say it over and over again. So the pain was as minimal as I could bear. I know that there are some that is excruciating for some people, but I want to believe that God saw my heart, God heard my prayers, and he granted that unto me. So just guard your ears, guard your heart. Declare whatever it is you want to see over your body. It is your body. It will align. It will begin to align. It doesn't matter what the issue is. Just begin to declare. Guard your heart. Guard your ears. Just guard it. No matter what the negativity, just tell the person, my case is different. I'm not disputing the fact that is your experience, but my case would be different. And to God be the glory, that was the case for me. I didn't have all those issues. Even the inducement, I was also scared of it because my first son, we were living, I registered in Olodia Papa. And somehow, in Lagos. And we moved to Satellite Town that period. So it was quite a distance. That's like traveling. And then there was no car. So immediately I passed my EDD, which was 29th of February. My husband said, yeah, pack your things. Let's be going there to the hospital so that you will not come and surprise me in the middle of the night. There is no mobility at this point in time. So let's just go there. So when I went, they checked me. They said, hey, your dilating boy is quite slow and everything. For me, I was not even, what is dilating? Because I was not feeling any pain. I was not feeling anything. So I stayed in the hospital for some days. My auntie said, okay, instead of staying here and, wrapping up fees and everything. So I just kept going and coming. They said they will induce me finally. And me, I've heard induction that once they give you that injection, that you run mad first. So do you understand? So all those things, at the end of the day, everything worked out. And it's still coming back to the fact that just create your own experience as a first-time mom, as a pregnant woman.
Thank you so much. So, amidst the gists, this is the juice. Number one, if you're asking questions, you're not weird. Wrong. And number two, there'll be very many opinions. Guard your hearts and guard your ears. Make sure that what you are listening to is what you know that is right for you to listen to. That's pregnancy. Now let's just touch on labor a bit.
She's smiling.
Let's touch on labor a bit. How was labor for you?
Oh my God. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. So,
was it at night, afternoon, morning?
It was at night, midnight to morning, like 2. I gave birth like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
Right. So, like I mentioned earlier, that they were going to induce me, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, I was in the room with other women, right? So, I was smiling. I was like, okay, I'm going to go. Because I had listened to that word, like I mentioned, and, my faith was stirred up. I was like, I'm so good. So I went in and they gave me the injection and the other things they put in. I was like, okay. I don't know how the thing just started, like, immediately. So as they put it in, I came down, the pain just started.
Wow.
Oh, that was the I really don't. That's how induction works.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
But
immediate.
for people, it's different, right? Because it was I and another lady that went in. So while I was in pain, like and they told me to go upstairs. I should wait till they'll be monitoring me before they now take me to the labor ward. I was with the other lady, and then the other lady was still fine. She was just going. While me, I was already like,
What's going on here? What happened?
So I remember I even took a picture. I would have shared the picture. I even took a picture of myself with my crying face.
What?
To forward it to my husband. That it has started.
Headline.
In fact, as I entered the room like this, my face had changed. It was later that the women were even joking, telling me that you laughed out and you came in crying.
Before and after.
I was a mess. I was God.
And you make all the promises.
In fact, it didn't even waste time. I was in so much pain, and I also didn't know that, it also comes with vomiting. I've never heard of somebody, in labor and then throwing up.
I used to.
Wow, that's the first time for me.
I was throwing up.
Isn't it that funny colored? You just threw up. You keep throwing up.
Everything I had inside of me was just coming out. I was just throwing up.
Yeah.
I was just throwing up.
Me, I can't relate. This is my first time.
So I was also wondering, why am I throwing up?
Question tag.
I was like, no, so check me. No, so check me. The women they were just laughing like, welcome. Oh my goodness. It was so funny. I was just everywhere. Then I remember that I wanted to ease myself because they had put that, I don't know, it's like a ball. So they put it inside. And then when you begin to dilate, it will fall on its own. But I didn't know. So I went to pee and I was like, will I still pee with this thing? The nurse said, go ahead. So as I just peed, I stood up, the thing just dropped with blood. So I was like, no! It's something, like I thought that something
was wrong.
Something was wrong. Like, is my baby, something happened to my baby? Or someone want to flash my baby out. So the nurse came. The nurse saw me the way I was, and she was like, no, it's normal. It's normal. That means you are, like, it's getting wider, you're dilating and all the rest. I was just like, I was not even looking at anybody. No steeze, no composure.
Oh my.
No covering anything. Like,
In fact, so I don't know if, thank you so very much for what you have said so far. I don't know if you're joining us from other parts of Africa, aside Nigeria, I don't know if this applies where you come from. So, for me, just before I went into labor, in fact, as I was packing to go, I usually, my two babies, I give birth in the mornings. So I walk in, and give birth, and it's usually pretty fast. I've not experienced this dilation. Maybe I would have screamed down the hospital or something. So I don't know. So, but I remember that one elder whom I regard as a mother told me about, when they tell us to pack our bags, they tell us what to put in. She then told me that, have you packed a wrapper? So I didn't know that was supposed to be. She was like, pack a wrapper. When elders tell you something with some kind of, but it seemed like such a trivial. But thank God that I had some new fabrics, so I just hemmed the edges and then went with a clean wrapper. So I didn't have the idea that, sometimes, because it's the final moment before the first big thing, you're about to be a mommy. I wanted to, wear a very lovely, nice gown.
my God.
You don't know where
Nice
you will
gown.
fling it.
That was when
You know where you will fling
I
it.
just heard her voice. Carry a wrapper. So at the point that I went in with the nice, good morning, good morning, good morning. The nurses had this
They'll be
look.
laughing at you.
Like, they had this look. So then they just said, take it off and tie the wrapper. In my mind, I was like, so if my mama didn't tell me to bring a wrapper, how would you know that? My sister, I was seeing people's wrappers
Flying here and there.
flying. I'm like, what happens to the put together there? And I had an experience that I'm like, I don't know why this happened, but sometimes, that process of stitching eventually. So I remember the matrons were like, this girl, you're really strong. You're not shouting, you're not screaming. But the metal. Metal. Oh my God. I was clinging with all my life. But I remember something that when I was being sutured, the doctor was male. That's...
Yeah, see there.
Can you not be a woman? And then to not make matters was a colleague of his now came in. And when you're just gisting casually, like nothing happened in the world. Like, hey, girl, how far now? I'm like,
I'm here.
Hello. Okay.
It's more to the world.
What's going on here? I'm like, this is what we go through for motherhood. My
So
goodness.
So the conversation, you can call in
Please
to
do.
join the conversation. I'm sure you're enjoying all the gist. And we hope you're learning a lot, even as we have fun, and share these experiences. So if you want to call in to join in to the conversation, you can call 080-957-33330. I'll take it again, 080-957-33330 to call in. Or you can drop a comment for us in the comment section. Let's hear from you. If you're a mother, what was your pregnancy experience like? What was the labor experience like? What has motherhood been like for you? If you're a yet to be mom who wants to be a mom, what kind of thoughts go through your mind? What are your fears?
Wow.
We have our first caller. Yay! Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Why do I feel like I know this
Hello.
voice?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you
Can you
confirm
hear
you can
us?
hear us? Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello? Hello? The network or something.
Please do well to call again.
Is he still on the line?
Okay. Hello.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Who are we speaking with, please?
Yeah, my name is Elvis.
Yes.
And also very inspiring. Good work.
Hello?
Thank you. Said good work. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
And your guest today is also looking very, very beautiful. Good work. I mean, the stories are inspiring, and I must say that, like, kudos.
Thank you so much.
On that happy way. All right.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you
you
so
very
much.
much.
The network? Okay. Oh, so we had Mr. Elvis. And someone seems like she knows him. Well,
And the compliment was directed.
do you understand? When they said eyes for only you, do you understand? We just experienced it right now because that was Mr. Elvis Boateng, husband to our guest.
Awesome. So that
Thank
leads
you, sir, for calling.
Thank you so very much. That even leads to the very next question.
Yeah.
When did you begin to realize that this motherhood is like Discovery Channel? I don't even know what better way to say it. So now the baby is here, and when did you begin to realize that it appears that there is more to motherhood than even anyone had tried to lecture you on?
Okay. I think I understand the question now, because although I would like to start this way.
Yes.
So when we got home that day from the hospital, the day we got home from the hospital, and it was just myself and my husband and my baby.
Wow.
And I looked at this baby and said, God, I just brought a stranger home. Because
Not a small stranger.
yes, he has been in me for 9 months, 10
Yeah.
months, but now I don't even know anything about, like, this is just like a baby. I just brought it. I just brought him home, and I don't even know what to
You
even
met
do.
him the same day he met you.
In fact, I don't know anything about him. Probably doesn't know anything about. He doesn't know anything about me. Yeah?
He does, girl.
And that was when
Yeah, but I
it
get
dawned on me, because that night we couldn't sleep. I was not lactating, and thank God we got milk from the hospital, because hospital insisted that I must give him milk. So we gave him milk, and he was still crying. I was like, what does this boy want? I'm not lactating. What should I do? So that was like the first, when I realized that this is it. This is it. And this is a full,
You're
this is my
responsible for a whole
responsibility,
human being.
a whole human being, and everything that has to do with this human being.
Yes.
And then another thing I wanted to also mention is, so recently
Yes.
I observed that my boy was making this sound. So I'm like, where did he hear that from? Like, why? Where? So then I now realize that anytime I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I'm just saying,
So of course they do that.
So I didn't know that he has been looking at me, and I was like, come on, can't I just live my life?
No, Mama.
Why do you have to mirror me back to myself?
Exactly. Can't I just live my life? So then it now dawned on me that, these children come like plain sheep.
Yes.
True. And it's like la crème la peau. Whatever you give them is what they'll take. Whatever they become is more like
A
it's a
reflection.
reflection of me, you know,
What you have put in them.
and what I've put in them, you know. So I would say that that are just giving me this form of consciousness, even with my dealing with him, in what I see around him, in how I act, in even what I watch. Because I told you that I love watching investigative movies, like
Yes.
action, you know. So now I have to, in fact, I don't even use my TV to and if it's in the parlor, if I'm using my TV and it's in the parlor, I have to look for a way to just take him off, engage him, or take him off, you know. And I would say it's a whole lot.
Yes. In fact, what you have just said reminds me of a quote that I came across, Sumi. The quote says, it's an interesting one. Okay, so while I'm waiting on it, Sumi, at what point in your first time pregnancy did it dawn on you that first motherhood, baby is now here. It dawned on you that this motherhood, it's like nobody has really prepared me for it. Can you remember any particular experience?
I think for me, my mom kind of gave me a soft landing, even though she's used to not coming on the day I deliver or before I deliver. As much as I try to make her do it, she want to hear first that I have given birth. Then she will shout and tell the whole village that I have given birth. Then she will not pack the whole village and start coming for Mungo.
Yes, ma'am.
But then for my first pregnancy, I was surrounded a lot. My dad's elder sister was around. She stood in before my mom came.
Okay.
So for some reason I didn't feel it, but the reality dawned on me the day my mom left. I cried that day. Because when she left for Mugo, and you know she stayed.
At what time was that?
She stayed 3 months. So it was cruise for me because she tried, do you understand? But and my servant's mother, as in she took her motherhood to a large extent. In fact, I tease my husband. Be very fast in bed. But my mom always does whenever she comes. Because before I wake up, she has cooked. She will tell me go and brush, come and eat. You know, like I was actually properly taken care of. And because my children, I lactate very well. So my children, once I saw, she's always with them. For some reason, I didn't feel it, but it was the day she left. And she left very early in the morning. I just sat down like this. I was thinking of my life. I was like, she's going, no.
So this is
So do you understand? So the reality dawned on me that now she's not here anymore doing the whole stuff for me and everything. But thankfully, you know, I tell people, I said, motherhood is not a journey you go through with an unkind partner. Your partner makes the difference for you in how you experience motherhood. Thankfully, my husband is a handsome person, so he kind of cushioned, like that period. I can't remember ever bending down to sweep or anything. He just took ownership of that. Do you understand? So he stepped in where he could to make sure that the whole thing wasn't so cumbersome. Of course, he can't help me breastfeed, so that one was solely my responsibility. But every other thing that he could do to make the journey easier, he actually did all those things. So that's just the thing. I think your partner has a major role in playing to make if the motherhood journey isn't as stressful as it is. But no matter what it is, you know, no matter what it is, the truth is motherhood is a sacrifice, because you're not just thinking about it. Just like what she said, you're not thinking about yourself. You're responsible for a whole human being. You're responsible for molding a whole human being. So, and for me, I think one of my biggest fear in motherhood and parenting is failing. When I mean failing, is the fact that I hope I don't bring up dysfunctional children that will be a problem to the society. I fear it a lot. Or children that will be a problem to me, their dad, and the society. That was one of the biggest fears. So sometimes I do something, I do a lot of retrospect, a lot. Like, at this point, is this child heading in the right direction at all? So that's why we're very careful. So when we see an action that we don't do, we are quick to ask, where did this come from? So that we nip it in the bud. So if it's from school, I am nipping it. So when my child comes home and says a certain word that I know we don't use in the house, I ask questions, where is this coming from? And so that I can nip it in the bud. And if I have to have a conversation with the teacher or anything, I know what to do. So it's just a whole lot. But like I said, it's a journey. No, you're not. It's one of those things. Just like marriage. No matter how much someone tells you about marriage, the taste is in the pudding. is when you enter, you realize that you were not actually fully prepared for marriage. And the funniest thing is that it's a lifetime journey. You can't score yourself. Even if you're 50 years, the only time you can score yourself that you did well in marriage is when you had long gone and forgotten. Because even I've seen couples that are 50 something years old and they are divorced and all those things. So it's one of those journey that you only score yourself after you're long gone. And I think it's the same thing for parenting, because you never really stop parenting. It's a lifetime journey. You never really detach. So until your dying days, you are still committed to this person. You're still committed to this child. So it's just a whole lot.
Thank you so much, Somi. Somebody says, her name is Barbara Walters. Motherhood is tough. If you just want a wonderful little creature to love, you best get a puppy.
Even puppy. Let me not tell you something. We have a puppy currently in my house, and I'm sure Elizabeth can relate. She has a puppy. The funniest thing is that puppies are not even easy to train, because puppies are like children. You have to train too. Because there is one in my compound now. You see the woman, she's heavily pregnant. She's, as in, you can see that this one is about to drop. But you see her every morning, she's chasing dog up and down the compound. She's making sure that they don't mess up the compound. And when they do, she's cleaning up the compound. As in, so for me, self, even puppy does not cut it. Except you're not ready to be responsible for the puppy. So even an animal like that needs attention. How much more a whole human being? It needs that same level of devotion, because having puppies in your house, except you want your house to be smelly at all, you have to clean up their mess and feed them and so many other things.
Thank you, Somi. You know, while I was listening to you and talking about when your mom left and how you felt, it took me back to when I was expecting my first son. So typically, from about the age of, for as long as I could remember myself visiting people having babies, I would really be very happy for you. I could even come with a gift. But you still carry that baby. I won't. They are so fragile. Like, how am I sure I will not break your child? So I never just would touch a newborn. So my first son was the first baby I agreed to carry. I remember when I was almost due, my sister called me. Can you imagine? She picked her phone, dialed my number, and the only thing she wanted to ask me is, hey, madam, when you give birth, who will carry our baby? I said, when I get there, and to be honest, you need to see the way I held that boy. I was just looking at him like, so this one now, it's me that will carry this baby. And then I'm so grateful to God for my community that I'm a part of, the Christian community where I belong to, and my mother-in-law. So my mother-in-law was there to bath him. But you know that part where, I don't know if they do that in the country where you come from. Please comment and share with us on the comment section. Where they stretch them,
turn them upside down,
and then they stretch the leg, and then they take the hand. And then I'm trying to understand. This is so that the child will be able to, you know, reach to the back. As they are doing it, I'm like, this is what I went through for 9 months for. And then I don't also know if they do this palm oil. I mean, if you are in the comment section, you can explain to us what they do, where you come from. They have this palm oil, and then this kind of sponge that is made of what? What's that sponge made of?
I can't relate to
that sponge. Okay, there's a sponge. They don't usually
that
use
is
the
like
soft sponge.
Brown.
Yes, there's a
You know, gentle parenting. You know, I didn't recognize myself at that point. Everything I had said.
What was really the frustration? Can you voice it?
So, you know, I'm combining work, you know, motherhood, ministry, you know, and also I think that day I had a deadline. I was trying to do something, and then he was just pulling, you know, and I've given you food, I've breastfed you. I'm like, what is your problem? What else do you want? Do you want my life? So I just screamed. Everything was just like, as if my head just went. I don't want to use the word crazy. And I just shouted. They was just looking at me. Like, judged myself. I was like,
he doesn't even know.
Like, did he ask to be born?
As in, I was on my own cruising.
I cannot say this. I want to say, was it?
So how did you go past that scream? How did you how did you come out?
Yes, so I realized that I needed to, you know, to take my time, to relax, to take a break, to just and come back refreshed and better, right? And like Chisom said earlier, a supportive partner does it. You know, so in situations like that, my husband is around, you know, he will just, if he notices that, he just carried the baby from me. And then he would just tell me, okay, have you eaten? Have you done this? Have you done that? Which is very important. I would say that in this my motherhood, I wouldn't really say I've had like, because I'm somebody that is more to myself. Like, I love to deal with things on my own. So I will research, I can pray, I can go to God and cry and say, God, rescue me. But I come out all smiles. I'm like, oh, you know? You know, so it's one of the things I'm trying to get better at, to reach out to mothers like myself. Well, although I have my sister, I have my mom, like I mentioned, and I always reach out to them most times when the teen has reached here.
Wow. So I'm trying to do a bucket list for first time moms who are on the show. One of the first things we said when we began is that if you are feeling overwhelmed, you are not weird. That was not exactly how we couched it. When we started,
when you ask questions.
Yes, when you ask
questions, when you're always asking questions, it's not weird.
Yeah, it's not weird that you're asking questions. Then something else we said is you should guard your heart and your ears. So even if you have pushed now and the baby is here, you know, you also have to guard your ears. You know how sometimes some people don't even mean it, but they sort of put you on an edge. Why is he not crawling now? Why is his teeth not out now? I heard a mother, she gave me one, should I say wisdom or counsel? She said when her son, a child she waited over 10 years to birth. Somebody was now asking her that, so he's not walking. She said, at least before she's 18, she will walk. Do you know what that means? It means just day your day. Let my baby day my day. One day, she will walk. So sometimes mothers, we have to also try also not to put another mother on edge, because you know how it feels. So even if the child is not walking, the best you can do is maybe pray in your quiet or wish the child well. Don't exactly put their mother on edge.
But actually, there's a balance. There's a balance to this, because I want to use my last son as an example. When I had his dedication on Sunday, and he's going to be 6 months tomorrow. So why did we wait that long? I gave birth to him, and I gave birth to him on Friday, November 15th. One of my neighbors who were pregnant together gave birth to her son the Monday before that day. And, you know, my son was a very big baby. I think he was my biggest baby ever. In fact, everybody that saw his picture, that saw him, was like, this boy is so... My mom, when she saw each other, this one matured in the tummy. Like, he was a very big... But all of a sudden, I noticed, and he was eating. When I mean eat, he was practically eating round the clock. But he was losing weight. He was just losing weight. And, you know, the other baby that was giving birth to just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so that's like 3 or 4 days apart, was just blowing up and everything. And of course, the truth is, it's normal to feel somehow. And I was like, what's happening now? We are both doing exclusive. See, this one is adding. See my baby. And I've not had that experience. And that's another thing I want to mention. Every pregnancy journey, every child is unique. That was my fourth pregnant child. But I felt like a first-time mom at that point. Because I was like, what would I do? This boy is not adding. I went to the hospital. They said nothing is wrong with him. But I saw that my baby was draining. As in, he was like paper. It gave me really, it gave me concern. At the point, he was all heads and neck. But very, very smallish. I was like, no, my children are not usually like this. They are not usually. And the funniest thing is that there was really no symptoms per se. Like maybe you say he's having, or the only thing was that he just had one hole in the middle of the head and all those stuff. So what am I driving at? As a first-time mom, motive is important. When you're saying, as a mother, rather, generally, motive is important. Why are you saying what you're saying? You're not reaching a certain developmental milestone. There might be an underlying issue, really. So it might be that you could gently, with empathy, ask the mother, have you checked this out? But be sure that the child is way past that developmental milestone, and you're not trying to put undue pressure on the mother. Because for my son, it kept happening until one of my neighbors, her mom also came for Omugo. Her son is about 2 months, almost 2 months older than mine. She saw my son. She said, this your baby has Nta. In my head, I was like, what's that? I've never heard it before. She said, according to them, they say the English name for that, they call it in Igbo Nta, is failure to thrive. Because I had to Google it. I was like, what kind of name? Which one is failure to thrive? Because really, this child is eating well, but he's not adding. She now told me that it happened to her grandson, the one she came for the Omugo, that his own, it was from birth, he was diagnosed, that my son is even looking better, that his own was worse. but that they had to use some herbs, were bathing him, then some they gave the baby
So
to
what's
drink,
the
and
English name of that?
failure to try. That was what Google just told me. So it was like, and you know what actually gave me the courage to tell her, okay, let's go for these herbs. Because in my head, I was like, first of all, yes, I know they say don't give children herbs. I said, God, you're the one that created herbs, and you gave it to us for food and medicine.
Right.
That was the first thing I told myself. So if this will make my child better, I am going to do it, even though I'm not a fan of giving baby herbs or anything. Because at that point, I was like frustrated. And I was seeing her baby. The baby she said was all bones. He is now plump and everything and all those stuff. So if she said it works for her baby, then it will work for mine. It's herbs. There's nothing added to it.
Yes.
It's food and medicine God gave
Yes.
us. You know, I just had to give myself that pep talk. And I also read some comments online about a woman that said the same thing happened to her child and that she kept going to the hospital. Hospital was not diagnosing anything. In fact, she said her husband had not recovered from the expenses up to them. I was like, oh, okay, let's try it. And that was how I tried it. And right now he's okay and he eats well. He has started adding up and
Do you know the name of those herbs?
No, I don't know, but you know, of course, they have herbalists that's their, because it was sent from Onisha. That's what they do. Herbalists, not like Babalawo, like people that deal with herbs.
Babalawo is like traditional seer. So it's not that kind.
That type. This one is
This one's
herbalists
they
that deal in
concoct
herbs for medicine and all those stuff. So it was sent, and I gave him, and you know, it became better and everything. So why am I saying that is that if that woman had probably not said something
decided to keep to
or
herself.
decided to keep to herself, I don't know what it will have resulted to. Do you understand? So that's why I'm saying there should be a balance. Check your motive, why you're saying whatever you're saying as a mother.
Yeah.
But if you have anything that could help a first time mom, say it and say it empathically. And please, they are not obliged to take your suggestion. And that doesn't make them a bad mother. Because normally I would have probably rejected that woman's counsel because it's herbs, because I don't believe children should have any business with herbs. But I just had to do a little research on my own. I said, okay, let's give it a try. And of course, before I gave him, every time I gave him, I prayed. I said, God, I am just using this herb as a point of contact to you healing my child. My faith is not in these herbs. My faith is in you to sort out whatever it is that is wrong with my baby. So at the same time, at the core of our motherhood, as a community, there should be empathy.
Yeah.
Put yourself in that mother's shoe. How would you feel? That should be the thing. That should be the basis for whatever suggestion or thing you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Finally, if you were to say any 3 things to a new first-time mom that has helped you, let's assume she's that someone who feels like, I really don't know what to do with this baby. I just came out of the hospital. I really don't know what to do with this child. I don't know how to move on from here. What would you say? 3 bullet points that you can make sit in her head.
Okay. Number 1, know your why. Know the reason why you are doing this. We should guide you. For me, it is God hired me for this job because it's a job.
Please say that again.
God hired. So you should have your why, right? Because imagine if I have that in my mind always, that God hired me for this job. I'm going to take it more seriously. And even when situations come, certain things, challenges or whatever, I know who hired me. I go to him and I tell him, Lord, this is the way I feel about this. Help me feel better. Because truly, we are going to need God a lot in this motherhood journey.
True.
Right. And the second one is, if he has hired you for this job, you should know that he got your back. Right. He got your back totally. You should have, this should give you a mindset shift, right? That this situation is preparing for something. Sorry to use that word situation, but this motherhood journey is preparing you for something. You don't know what it is, because before now, I just wanted to be on my own, do my own thing, you know.
Not have one tidy.
Not exactly running about and having to. Now, I realize that I'm living like this with borrowed time. You know, like Jaden has borrowed me the time to be here.
Exactly.
You know. So the third one I would say is be flexible, be adaptable, right? But have that intentional direction. I'm saying this because before you become a mother, you've said so many things. Well, as a mother, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You know, I will never do this. You know those things that we say. You know, but now you are here, and everything is just happening the way it's happening. Don't be static. Because this did not work, or you feel like you failed here, or like that day that I shouted and all that. Be flexible. This is what has come to you, and just take it. Don't give up. Take up what has been given to you. Be flexible, be adaptable, have the intentional direction. If you do your child this way and he's not acting in this way that you are leading him, he's acting in this way, you know, sit down, reevaluate it, and ask the Lord for help, definitely, and just be intentional about that. Okay, this is it, this way I'm going to. These are the values I want to give him. But then don't be rigid. Don't be rigid. And say, this is what I said I would do. This is exactly what I will do. You know, because it may never even happen that way. You know, you know, I didn't even want to have this boy in the country. You know, I'm so sorry. I know this is an African. You know, if you leave me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow. If you have been a part of the show so far, please comment. What have you found very insightful, inspiring? What would you like to add as a thought, as a comment? Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. And this show is powered by Digits 1024 Media. Please equally follow them on social media. Did you hear the rhymes? All right, so me.
Okay, so were we really prepared for motherhood, or did we just adjust? Well, I'll say a little bit of both words. For some people, they had a form of preparation. But again, no matter the preparation you think you got, it is just a tiny bit of what you're going to experience in the journey. You see, when they say experience is the best teacher, it is in motherhood, because this one you're going to have some experiences that are personal to you and your motherhood journey. That might not be replicable for any other person, because why? Each child is unique. Even if you have 4 different children, you'll be surprised that you have 4 different motherhood experiences with 4 of them. So keep like Elizabeth said, I love the way she puts it, because that's also the mindset I have. God hired you for this job. And as much as companionship is the primary purpose of marriage, the second most important reason for marriage is to raise godly seed. We owe that to God. So as you go on your motherhood journey as a mother, learn to draw strength from the one who has commissioned you for this job. Without him, trust me, you will just end up frustrated. And you know, when you get to that point of frustration, when you get to that point where you feel like, what is all this? You're not just damaging yourself, you're damaging those children. And in ripple effect, the society, because why? That child you have brought forth is a member of the society. So for that child you have messed up, you have messed up an entire society, because he becomes a menace to the society. So please, see it as a service to God, see it as a service to humanity, see it as a service to your country, see it as a service to your continent, see it as a service to the entire world, to raise children who are wholesome. That is the whole essence of the A.R.A.L show. We're not just here. This morning I was telling my husband that I wish I didn't have to leave the house. And that is the truth. But then, when you know that there is something, there is a vision that is, you know, that you care about, that you're passionate about, then you have to drag yourself out of your comfort zone and get to work. So we're saying, please, mothers, see motherhood as a gift. It is a burden, or rather it can be a burden, but then it becomes easier when you begin to see your children as a gift that God has given to you to mold.
Thank you so much, Somi. Once upon girls, but now we must grow up. Responsibility has been thrust on us. We have to live up to it, the responsibility. And we have the resources, we have the tools. You can do this, Mama. We can. Remember why the ARAL show began in the first place. We said that a number of our leaders have failed us in the African continent. We cannot fight them, but we can raise our children. So we want to raise them to be the kind of leaders that our continent needs. We want to raise responsible young men and women, visionary young men and women, honest people, people who are diligent, who are kind, who are loyal, everything. And like Elizabeth said, what we program into them is what they become. So we can as well program the kind of leaders we want them to be from now. And you got this.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
God got you.
Yeah, God got ya.
So don't forget again, please like, share, subscribe. If you've not hit the subscribe button, you know I'll come for you. So please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to share. This is not a conversation that you should hold. This is a conversation that we should spread, and more people need to have this information and also be part of this conversation. So once again, we want to say thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah,
for
just before we
honoring.
go, please, Somi, this is very important. She is a techie VA, and I'm sure that if you were there in the very beginning, I read all that she is. So very quickly, how can we patronize you? How can we get your services? How can we reach you, please, very quickly?
Okay, so follow me on LinkedIn, Elizabeth Boateng, or you can call me on 070-126-54715 or send a WhatsApp message.
Please say that again.
Okay, so follow me on LinkedIn on Elizabeth Boateng, and you can send me a WhatsApp message or you can call me on 070-126-54715.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts. What do you think about today's show? What are your thoughts about the conversation? And don't forget, pass on this episode. Share it with a friend. Share it with a mother in your circle. Share it with a lot of people. And this is an African movement. This is not a Nigerian movement. So please spread it to the four corners of Africa. And don't forget to tell the world, Africa is coming.
Rise, Afrimums from all corners of rise from your slumber.